listening to Truth or Dare to Share by Ambitiously Intuitive.
Welcome to this episode of Truth or Dare to Share by Ambitiously Intuitive. I am here, Lacey, myself, with Michelle, Raquel, Kenyatta, and Cynthia, and we are incredibly excited to be talking about the movie Hocus Pocus. So as per usual, we do 3 acts. We're going to do a reaction, ask each other questions, and then play the game, Truth or Dare, but more, making the movie about us, therapy style, kind of where pop culture meets personal development. So let's just go ahead and jump right into a reaction. Is anybody feeling super compelled to give their take on the classic movie Hocus Pocus?
Well, I think before we get started, we should all, if you haven't, take out your salt and
Does everybody have
protect their
salt?
stuff.
Fine salt?
Yeah, and protect yourself. Just make a little circle and protect yourself from the Sanderson sisters, since we're going to be talking major shit about them.
Oh, did you know that just like in Practical Magic, Cynthia and I found this out, that they apparently had a witch consultant on Hocus Pocus as well? Yeah, do your research, but in my minimal research about the movie, they had their own consultant.
I love that. Disney is thorough. So thorough.
So Kenyatta, since you started us off with a protection circle with salt, what is the famous brand of salt? With Morton Salt, we are not being paid by them by any means. Not that probably they would need to be. Kenyatta, why don't you tell us what you thought about Hocus Pocus?
I love this movie. I love it. It's such a cult classic. And it's one of those feel-good movies for me, because I love the fall. And fall has not started if I have not drunk a pumpkin spice latte and watched Hocus Pocus. So all I can say is this movie will forever be a classic, like until eternity. I'm pretty sure 2054, we could be living on clouds watching Hocus Pocus.
Have you seen the second one? You have? You didn't like it?
It was just to give us the moment we've been begging for, but there was nothing spectacular about it.
Is the right word gratuitous? Something like that. Michelle, you're on brand, I think, more than anybody on this call.
I can remember dressing up as a witch for Halloween for like 7 or 8 years in a row because of this movie. So I really enjoyed it. Obviously, I'm referencing the original. I am not a fan of the second one. I think they tried way too hard recording the second one to be an exact of the first one as new modern day and age. But yeah, I love it. Spoiler alert. I just love the ending, but we'll get there. And yeah, I think Kenny said it best. It's a cult classic. So if you haven't watched it, get on it.
Raquel?
If you haven't watched it, I'm judging really hard. And also, can we give it up for the ladies for still looking amazing in the Hocus Pocus 2? Because they look phenomenal 30 plus years later. And that was kind of my takeaway. I watched it yesterday and I couldn't believe how magical it still is after so many years. It follows the test of time and just continues to be so intriguing, even as an adult now watching it. So completely agree. Love the film, love the costumes, love the wittiness, love the season. It was just a 10 out of 10.
Cynthia?
So I love this one. My family is very into Halloween and horror. And so when I was little, this was one of the favorite ones that we always watched at Halloween time. So I love it. So I actually asked my kids if they wanted to watch it, but they wanted to watch the second one, not the first one. And I've only seen the second one time. And I was like, no, I want to watch the first one, of course. So I love
couldn't the
this
answer
one.
be both?
Huh?
I said, why?
Oh, I mean,
it could have,
but I wanted to watch the first one again. Of course, I wanted to watch the first one again. And I love them. I was thinking about this, and I love the witches more than all of the other characters, I think. And I actually went to the Mickey's Oh So Not Spooky Halloween, and it was all about the Sanderson sisters, and I thought that was really great. So
it's fun.
Yeah.
I've never done Mickey's Not So Spooky. Actually, when I lived in Orlando for 3 years, I never did Halloween Horror Nights at Universal or the
Mm.
Disney
Oh,
version.
wow.
I've heard nothing but good things about it. I have a, it's because I have a controversial thing. I haven't been into Halloween since I was a kid, but I would say for Hocus Pocus, I have a very distinct memory. Did any of you ever build a blanket fort? I hope the answer is like an absolute
Yes.
sounding yes. I can remember the shape of the blanket fort in the den in my mom's room or my mom's house and watching it with my siblings. My aunt was babysitting us, and I was so frightened by these witches. I also read that this movie came out in July to not conflict with The Nightmare Before Christmas. So I don't remember what season it was. I just know what the den looked like. I remember being blatantly frightened. I remember laughing with my siblings, specifically when the two bullies call him like Hollywood and steal his shoes, like
Yes.
the comedic relief. And so every time I laugh at that, I transport back in time to that moment. I was probably Danny's age when I watched it. And I remember that feeling of trying to get your older siblings to take you somewhere or to do something with you. So I really related to Danny as a character. And of course, now that, I'm an adult, I relate more to the witches or the parents partying and dancing and being like, you're off doing your own thing. And that was also very 90s, was the kids were trick-or-treating without their parents.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that
Yes,
something
like literally gone the whole night. Kids at home.
Yeah. Michelle
No
and
idea what's
Kenyatta
going on.
they know where Bellevue is. I definitely trick-or-treated with my brother as he was preteens, just the two of us
Yeah.
in the
West
late
Side,
90s.
we all went by ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it holds a special place in my heart. I didn't mind the second one. I appreciated what they did. There's a little bit of forced storytelling, but yeah, to your point, Raquel, they looked phenomenal, considering the decades that it was in between. And I also read that Bette Midler said that this was her favorite movie or favorite character that she's ever played above Beaches, which is what a lot of people know Bette Midler for.
Yeah.
So I loved it.
Bette
Yeah,
Midler was stellar in this movie. She was the main character, the comedic relief. She was everything.
I would have liked to have seen her do a spell on you in the second one. Like just do another callback. So they
Yeah.
did. I can't remember what the new song is that they do. We can come back to it later if anybody
I have no idea.
figures it out. That's the point. Like you wouldn't forget I put a spell on you, but they did another song that it's not coming to me because I didn't rewatch the second one in preparation for this. I'm going to take us into question round, and since we're talking about Halloween, what is the favorite costume that you've had that you've worn, whether it's as a kid or as an adult?
Mm.
Michelle, you
So-
should have an answer instantaneously.
I have one, and we just talked about it on
Yeah.
Beetlejuice. I think it was definitely Poison Ivy. So if anybody wants to do Poison Ivy, I will help you do one because it was so much fun. Oh, we talked about it on Joker. Yes, it was good. It was
Yeah,
fun.
Michelle was. We have photo evidence of this. We can share. Michelle was dressed as Poison Ivy, and I was dressed as like Lightning Bolt Lady Gaga.
Yes.
It was great. Red headscarf, Lightning Bolt Lady Gaga, because this was probably 2009.
However, I've dressed as witches the majority of my life.
I don't remember ever dressing up as a witch. I have to think about that.
I was a witch 2 years ago. I think I might be a witch this time too. So we always, with my kids, we do family costumes. And so they're doing classic monsters. And so I think I'm going to do witch. But I think my favorite, when I was little, I was Tinkerbell, and not little. I think I was like 8 or 9, but that was my favorite one I did.
It's funny.
Oh, and my husband was Cruella de Vil, and that was like the funnest family costume that we've done.
That is
I was
for
gonna-
me. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I think we try to do family costumes too. So I think my favorite family costume, I was Sully from Monsters Incorporated. My baby was Mike. But personally, I had got out of Halloween as an adult. I just didn't participate, even though it's one of my favorite holidays. But as a kid, I I don't know why I remember this, but there was one year where my mom was just like, I'm the baby of the family. And my siblings, they were older, they didn't want costumes and nothing. My mom totally forgot to get me a costume. And so here it is Halloween night, and I don't have a costume. Mom, where's my costume? She was like, I forgot. I guess you're not going trick or treating. Sorry. Pass out candy. And me as a kid, I am crushed. So I went and I put on like a cardigan and like a dress and a hairnet, and I took a spoon out of the kitchen and I went trick or treating as a lunch lady.
I love that. It's so good.
And I got the most candy. I guess people feel bad for me.
Oh man.
I got sympathy candy, but I didn't care. Like it was memorable.
Hey, and you had fun.
Lots of it. Yeah.
Well, my favorite costume growing up was a costume that my mom sewed for me, and I was Jasmine from Aladdin. And I remember feeling so risque because my midsection was showing. Too hot to trot in my little Jasmine costume that she made, and it was adorable.
I think
And
you should be an adult Jasmine too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could definitely do a callback for sure. That would be a lot of fun. Keeping it in the Disney theme, of course. So, yeah.
I'm a little salty, pun intended, but not intentionally, because I also was Jasmine, but we were living in Wisconsin at the time and it was cold out. So my mom made me wear sweatpants and a sweatshirt under the Jasmine costume, and it completely ruined like actually morphing into her. I can't remember a time dressing up as a witch, but I do think my favorite childhood costume, and we had, I went to a Catholic school and we had a Halloween festival. Like that was fun. Like they had actual bobbing for apples, they had stations and stuff. And I dressed as a gypsy. And I don't remember where I found all of the articles of clothing. I would have to see if my mom remembers. But Kenyatta, similar to you, there was a time my mom didn't like completely forgot to give me a costume. So what did she do? But she brought one of her like her nurse's scrubs, and she did my makeup like her. Because my mom used to. Have you ever seen somebody do blush and go like to do blush? And she put blush on me. She made me flip my hair and hairspray it. So I was supposed to be like a scary nurse. And that was another, like she came to the school with all this equipment because, she's a busy single mom and brought what she knew available. So technically I dressed as my mom for Halloween. And then what I'm dressing up as this year, and I was just telling folks before we were getting ready, before we started recording this episode, my sister, I will finally be in Pensacola for Halloween for the first time in a very long time, wants me to dress up as a graham cracker as part of a s'more. And I am like vetoing that idea because I've already got a Medusa headband and I'm very excited about it. And I didn't have to buy anything else because I already had a dress that I wore in New York City. There's a mermaid parade in Coney Island, which is basically like, it reminded me of Bourbon Street in New Orleans, but with sea creatures. I was like, I didn't know they did all this up here. Like this feels like New Orleans vibe. So that's what Coney Island, if you ever get a chance to attend that parade. But yeah, I have intentions to be Medusa and repurpose some of my mermaid parade attire there. I don't want to be a cracker, a graham cracker. I don't.
So I have a question for you guys. Let's go into another question. So it was just recently a full moon, and we were all kind of asking each other questions. And I think everybody rewatched this as an adult now. Is there any rituals that you guys have that are kind of hocus pocus-ish that you do during the month of October or any time of the year?
Yeah. I got a ritual. On the first of every month, I blow cinnamon out of my front door
I love that.
Oh,
What's
it's a
the reason?
good one.
to bring money into your home.
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you for
Just to
sharing.
bring
Is that like I bought one of those cinnamon broomsticks from Trader Joe's because I love the smell of it, like when you walk into your house. But like I wonder if I didn't realize that there is some symbolism with that. I love that. Or like
Yeah, on the first.
sweeping it out.
Yeah, on the first of the month, take the broomstick and sweep your front porch or just sweep the dirt out of your house through your front door.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the best way to first add is to first subtract.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other rituals folks are sharing?
We do like autumn stuff. We throw an egg into a little fire we make, and then we jump over the fire.
I love that.
So,
You do that with your kids?
yeah.
That's fun.
I don't know if these are considered rituals, but yeah, let's go ahead and bucket them as such. One is, and this is something that comes up in a lot of personal development podcasts that I've seen around the internet. One is if you want to change a habit, you do something called a pattern interrupt. So has anybody heard of what a pattern interrupt is? So like if you want to create a new ritual or you want to change something in your life, you have to figure out what patterns you have so that you can interrupt them. So if you're brushing your teeth with your dominant hand and you switch to your non-dominant hand, that's the best time to like practice affirmations of the new habits, aka like James Clear in Atomic Habits talks about. You first have to identify with that. So like, let's say you're not really a gym goer and you want to get in shape. You have to first identify with being a gym goer. And so if you find a place to interrupt a pattern, I would say the second ritual for me is being really, I guess, conscious of my word choice. And I was talking to friends in Central Park yesterday about this, how being mindful about your word choice, certain generations could call that being politically correct. I prefer tactfully transparent. So in the last couple of years, as I've been doing more studying around how you talk about yourself and how you talk about others, because essentially when it comes to making things a reality, what you say consistently and what you believe, it's going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy, because don't we always want to be right? So if I continue to call myself a night owl, then I'll never be a morning person, because I don't say I'm a morning person. So then I'm never going to get up in the mornings and make those adjustments. So those are probably the two, is the toothbrush. And that's when you talk to yourself in the mirror to then be talking to your critical thinking brain. And all of you know this, by being really cautious of my word choice and making sure I'm being kind to myself and to others.
Love it.
But now I got to get a cinnamon stick, apparently, and an egg.
Cinnamon broom.
Cinnamon broom. Oh, got it. Raquel, what about you?
Typical full moon rituals, putting out water, charging crystals. Those are fun. Moon gazing. One thing I heard recently at an event I went to was the moon is really symbolic for women to really take time for ourselves. So whatever rituals we would like for that time of month, it's a really good time to press pause and do things for ourselves. So that can be massage, take a bath, go outside and look at the moon, write, meditate, but just that consistency and cadence of every month there's a full moon. And so we can start to use that time as a reminder to give back to ourselves. So I like that the full moon and new moon are both 2 times a month. And if we just stick with those 2 reminders, that's twice a month that we're taking time out for ourselves. So I think that's the big takeaway from the moon. And I try to incorporate little things along the way, but yeah, the moon is so symbolic for us, and I love to plan things around it.
I love that
self-care.
Yeah.
Yes. Treat yourself, because it's a full moon. Yeah. That's gonna be my new excuse.
I remember reading somewhere that elephants worship the moon. So please feel free to do your research on that. And I don't know what it is about elephants, but every time I find out that they do something, that I'm like, okay, there's something about those, like that particular animal, that I find to be especially magical. But what you said, Raquel, also reminded me of, I was talking to a friend of mine in the last couple of weeks, and I asked him if he knew, because we were talking about intermittent fasting. So that's probably a ritual I do every single day, is I intermittent fast, and it's helped me tremendously with my cycle. And I wish I follow Dr. Mindy Pels. It's something I've been doing for 18 months and has fundamentally changed my health. So I can't believe that didn't come to me instinctively, because I'm in the middle of a fasting period right now. And I was talking to a guy about when a man's hormones, like what their cycle is. Do you all know what a man's hormonal cycle is, what the time period is?
24 hours.
Just like the sun, whereas all of us know that a woman's cycle is between 28 to 34 days, the same cycle as the moon. Yeah. And he looked at me like, he like a little bit astounded because he had never been taught like what they go through their entire cycle in a 24-hour period. And the reason I surface it to him is because men can intermittent fast in an intense way every single day because they don't need to compare it with their hormones. Whereas what Mindy Pels has talked about, if you read Fast Like a Girl, is that you shouldn't fast the same way dependent upon which of your cycles that you're in. If you're menstrual, luteal, ovulation, and follicular, if I got all four of those right. So if you're at the end of your 28-day cycle, you shouldn't fast at all because your body is already going through a lot. And to your point, Raquel, like that's the best time to show yourself a lot of self-love. And so, yeah, the moon is a reminder of a woman's cycle. And that doesn't surprise me why that there's overlap between those two.
I think it's for exercise as well, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a
Mhm.
lot of really fun TikToks or reels out there about girls like training next to their partner where the guy's just like lifting the same way every single day. And she's supercharged in certain cycles, like on the ground in others. It's right.
All right,
I definitely have to go down that rabbit hole.
I have a good question to segue us from this conversation. It works really well. So the Sanderson sisters want eternal youth, as we know from the film.
Ugh.
That we are all in our prime, in our matriarchal state of existence. What is something you wish you could preserve forever?
My
My mind.
mind. Yeah.
Jinx.
My mind, for sure.
I was
I-
in between mind and heart.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it, my beauty, because I'm
You.
the one that says the thing. Yes, the beauty, the youth. Preserve forever and ever.
Well, I have a tough question to that, though. I was talking to a friend yesterday because I didn't start doing skincare routines until 4 years ago. And this friend of mine has a Korean background. So she's been taught her entire life the importance of skincare. And she was sharing with me how it's embedded in her culture. And she kind of looked at me like I was nuts because I said, we were just taught to use soap on our face. Like, I don't think I use moisturizer because she's like, well, I'm doing it now so I can look like XYZ 20, 30 years from now. And my question to you is, have we been trained to want that? Or like, is it something that you want, or have we been indoctrinated to want that?
I think that it's cultural, honestly. And I think that we've seen the results of other cultures and it's like they did something right.
Mhm.
So definitely trained from other cultures. Because I'm like you, like Lacey, I was not taught a proper skin routine. For us, it was wash your face, not with soap though. Use a wash rag and slather some shea butter on it or Vaseline, and you'll be all right. My daughter, my 12-year-old, actually clocked me pretty bad about my skincare routine. She was like, "Mom, you don't use retinol. You're old. You should be using retinol." And I was like,
That's so crazy. She knows. She
Cynthia, if
knows.
you've met Genesis, that you would not be surprised by that. I met her for the first time when she was like 7 or 8 in New York, and I thought I was talking to a 25-year-old woman. I was like,
but yeah, it's definitely new to us, millennial and older. But I think this newer generation, they're the start of the cycle of teaching their children about proper skincare and embedding it into, I guess, American culture.
I do think we're a bit lucky too that for our generation that we are seeing women like in film being, like we've talked about previously, Pamela Anderson, like we are seeing women who are older, who are beautiful and, are not like ageism is not so much of a thing for us. Like we are
Right.
seeing older women and I think that that's a positive thing that's come out so far.
yeah, I want to be careful about something that, and this isn't referring to women who choose to do work or not do work or wear makeup because they bring out the confidence or the armor in them, or is pulling a Pamela Anderson and wants to go makeup free. I think that we should just be really cautious of reserving judgment on somebody's personal choice. That you have the tools to decide I do want to get Botox, or I want to get work done, or I want to be makeup free, or I want to age naturally, or I want to do whatever the hell Cher is doing. Just preserving. I saw her in concert several years ago, and she said that like one of the costumes that she's famous for, where she's basically wearing a thong-esque suit on stage. You know what I'm talking about? I
Yes.
believe. And she was like, "This is the same costume and the same size." And we were all like,
To me.
good,
Whoa.
like good for you for being consistent and taking care of yourself. And for the folks who go up and down or go through different evolutions, we should also say good for you too. Back to the point you made earlier, Raquel, that Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and the third actress's name is escaping me right now. Anybody know it offhand?
Kathy Najimy?
Yes, that they look amazing considering they made this in the early 90s. And so this comes back full circle to just like take care of yourself.
But I think to your point too, Lacey, like the appreciation of older women on film, and that it's like it's a wonderful thing, right? Where before it was like, oh, everyone's so, like women, they're either really old or really young before. I would say like even 15 years ago. But now we're seeing like how Hocus Pocus, how they got to be on film again. They didn't, recharacter them. So
Raquel, you want to say something as well?
Yeah, I was just going to comment that that's another stark difference from films in the 90s is it's very natural for the most part. Obviously, the witches are their own entity, but the makeup, characters, it was very subtle makeup, subtle looks. And then nowadays we see a lot more with Hollywood glam, and also kind of what you're saying also, Kenyatta, is like there's been a shift in terms of beauty, skincare. It's more present nowadays as far as in tabloids. And so it's just interesting. And I think that just rounds it out really nicely. Just what you said too, Lacey, is like, let's just embrace all of it across the spectrum.
Michelle, you have anything to weigh in on the subject?
No, I'm here for appreciating the natural vibes. I mean, I was taught by my sister who's 9 years older than me. At 19, I think she started to tell me, hey, moisturize. And she's a redhead too, fair complexion though. So I started early with moisturizing, and I can really appreciate how women are aging. Like I like seeing wrinkles on people. Like I like seeing people's lash lines. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to call out my sister because she doesn't really listen to these. Anyway, maybe she will. So if you are listening, Lindsay, hello. But she started to get grays, and every time I get my hair done, and when I say done, I mean I go like once every 2 months to cut it off. I haven't gotten it colored in years because I'm not meant to do things like every 6 weeks. I'm more of it's been like 3-4 months since I've cut my hair. I need reminders. I need a calendar invite. But they've looked, and I haven't had any come through. And if anybody's met my mother, my mom is turning 70 in a couple weeks, and you don't see any grays in her. But Lindsay, for whatever reason, genetic difference, or is getting like the very nice gray lines. And I think if it were 10 years ago, I would kind of be like, why aren't you dyeing your hair? But it adds this character to her. But she does, when I point out her grays, she's like, you have more crow's feet than I do. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm funnier than you. I laugh more than you do. Like I earn these. I worked very hard for them. But I do every now and then when I see pictures, and if I'm not wearing as much makeup and I'm not doing like the smirk, and I see them, I'm always, because I've never done Botox. I think it's fine for people who have. But when I see them, I'm always like, I wince a little bit. Because I'm like, well, what is it going to be in 5 years or 10 years? And now I'm just trying to drink water and wear sunscreen and let it happen. And if I change my mind and choose to do it, like, that's fine. But I'll just blame Lindsay for bullying me.
Just curious. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say this conversation just felt like a core memory of stepping into like the teenage years, and we didn't know nothing about skincare, and everybody's using like eczema and burning off their skin.
I was actually just going to ask, in the early 2000s, did you use it was like the Neutrogena sunburst or whatever? Does anybody remember this, where you washed your face and then you use the moisturizer afterwards? But like now they're like, vitamin C is good for your skin. So we were doing something right, I guess.
Or the dreaded St. Ives apricot scrub that they
Oh,
said it's
yep.
like our pores for decades, just laying in there.
I see. I'm also just exhausted by like, what are you supposed to do or what are you not supposed to do? And I want like scientific based evidence, but sometimes the point you just made, we were told to do one thing by science 20 years ago, and now we're told to do something else. And I'm just trying to do my best, like, and not hurt anybody else and make my own decisions.
Or also the Vanilla Fields lotion with all the sparkles in it. I don't know if you guys use that.
No, but I definitely just use glitter stuff or whenever, like when we went to
Yeah.
the club.
Well,
The
this was
teen night
actually,
at
I did that in
Seville.
middle school. Yeah.
Did y'all have a teen night? So Kenyatta, Michelle, and I all grew up in Pensacola. Did you go to a teen night at the club?
Yes, I did at City Walk.
Yeah.
Ours was on Sundays, starting I think at like 7. I think it was 7 to 11. My mom dropped me off to the club on Sunday
Shout
night.
out to anybody in the Florida Panhandle, PCB, Club La Vila. They just tore that bitch down. I'm so sad. But they had teen night there, and teen night should have never been allowed there.
Yeah, but the new
break
kids
should have
don't
never
go
been
to the
allowed.
club. They don't go to the club. The newer kids, they don't go.
Good.
They don't have a club to go to.
Yeah,
To be honest.
it's true.
I love how Hocus Pocus got us into skincare and teen night.
Club, yeah. So in the new one, in the new Hocus Pocus, I don't know. This is from the new one. I think they go into like a CVS.
Yes.
Yes,
Walmart.
I have no idea. I don't
know my
remember.
friends, they're going to Walgreens and they're just like dumbfounded by all this new stuff when they come back, and they have that same moment
To
in
make
the
you youthful, because that's all they want is to return to their youth.
To be fair, at the end of the movie, the parents are still partying till the wee
right.
hours. So
Well,
we're
they
just
did have a
thinking-
spell on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
I
the
think
first one.
Say,
Yeah.
what do y'all think that the Sanderson sisters would just be in awe of if they came back in this present moment?
Chat GPT.
Oh
Because it'd be
man.
like, that's a digital.
The virtual
What does
spell
she
book.
say? Boo.
And they can make a spell at right then.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they think it's a spell? Like if Winnie went in and asked it questions the same way that she did the book, then and it starts responding to her. Like one of my favorite parts of the movie is when Max is about to unleash the sprinklers for like fire safety.
Yeah.
And they're like, he summons fire from his hair. Like, it's a perfect moment.
But I do think there's like funny little things, like they didn't know what a lighter was, but then she asked, do you have your driver's permit or something when she's like flying by the car? So there was like a few little things that I was like, why'd they ask that if she didn't know what a lighter was?
Well, because they're psychic. Just how another great part in the movie is when Winnie says to Max, it's all just a bunch of hocus pocus. Like, how did she know he said that? So that's like their witchy intuition that it takes them a while to pick it up. I also like the flying of the brooms, but instead of broom, a mop and a vacuum.
Iconic.
Yeah, so good. I also wish I had a hype team every time I forgot something that says, remember when you remember. That would be ideal.
Do you need us to audio message that to you when you're
I think so. As I'm getting older, I'm so forgetful.
Are any of y'all the oldest sister, like the oldest sibling?
I am.
I think all the rest of us are the baby. Oh, poor
Yeah.
Cynthia, you must feel like you just have a bunch of younger siblings on these podcast episodes.
Yeah.
We just follow you around. Why do you ask, Kenyatta?
Well, I was going to ask, could anybody just relate personally to Winnie having pretty much carry her sisters on her back?
Absolutely. I am the modifier in my family.
Yeah,
I don't know.
doesn't it seem
Winnie
like
reminded me so much of my older sister.
it seems like she has all the powers, right?
She's
She
the strongest,
does.
definitely. Yeah. And it's crazy because I have two. My older sister, Chianti, and then my middle sister, Kiara, and then it's me. And I see us so much in the Sanderson sisters, just how we act. Because my middle sister loved her down, love you down. but just it's just a little bit too Mary. Like always, I know Sarah Jessica Parker. What was her witch's name?
Sarah.
Sarah. Sarah
Mhm.
was ditzy, but Mary was like dumbfounded, and it's different. And it's just
Kira's
like,
gonna want to have a conversation with you after this.
well, she know we call. I don't want to say she's blind because I don't want to put that stereotype because I know a lot of smart blinds, but Kira has a lot of blind moments, and we're just like, I don't know. That was just my personal.
I'm going to take us into a question that you just teed us up for, which is if you had to play that character, so if it was recast and you got to be in the movie, who would you want to play?
Thackeray Binks.
You're going to be the cat.
Yeah, so you could be around for 300 years and see what's happening.
Oh, he's my favorite.
Or Winnie, but I think Thackeray Binks would be pretty fun.
I would definitely want to be Winnie because she was fun. Like she was fun the whole movie. I don't know. I want to be Winnie. I want to be mischievous.
I'm surprised you didn't say Sarah. That's my choice. She gets a solo. She gets to do the infamous like amuck, 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 amuck. She's also like boy crazy. Like I think Sarah's fun and Winnie's always in a bad mood. Like I have related to that meme of Winnie going like another glorious morning makes me sick.
But everybody like Winnie has control of everybody because when her sister is getting on her nerves, she's just like, shut up. Like she tells everybody off. Like I want to be that bad of a bitch where you can just be talking to me and I'd be like zip it and like make your mouth close.
Raquel, what about you?
I'm with you, Lacey. I'd be Sarah as well.
You get a solo on the broom,
Yes.
man. Like all she's doing is riding around the city. Just it is
Right.
kind of weird. They're just collecting children to steal their youth. Like, but that's a frightening thing.
What about you, Michelle?
Well, the easy answer would be I want to be the redhead, but I think Sarah because she gets to be so carefree. Like, and Lacey said boy crazy, but I just feel like she is like Winnie keeps her in check. She doesn't have to really like pay attention to anything. She's just doing what she wants. So I
No
think,
responsibility until she gets instructions.
yeah, I love that. Good for you, girl.
So what is y'all's like favorite scene from this film?
Ooh.
I think when they're singing on the stage at the party, I love that.
Mine's the end when Thackeray Binks the cat dies, and then you see Thackeray consoling Danny, and then he sees his little sister, and he's finally free, and he gets to be with his sister again, and they walk through the gates in the cemetery, and that's my favorite.
So good.
Because it's like siblings, and it brings you whole back. Like the whole movie is about just being good siblings. So that's special to me right now.
I can tell you mine is when they see the guy dressed as the devil and they're like, Master. His wife was pretty much like, get your ass out my house.
That is such a good scene. I forgot about that one.
He's like soaking it all up. He's just in there dancing with 3 random women.
Mine's right before that. I have several, but you've said a few of mine. Mine's when they meet the bus driver and he's like, you know, what do you desire? And she's like, we desire children. He's like, it might take me a couple tries, but I'll see what I can do.
I miss it when movies like put adult comedy in, just like plain as day.
Yeah, there's definitely things that you notice rewatching it that you wouldn't have caught, obviously, as a kid.
Raquel, what about you?
I don't have a specific favorite. I think everything you guys mentioned. I like it when they're singing. I thought that was really fun and just a lot of the humor throughout the film. Yeah, it was fun when they first came on scene and they start saying the Ikaru, whatever, however that goes.
I like
when
Witch,
they
yeah.
come in. I also
Emo-
like when they come into to their house for the first time. They're
Yeah.
like, "We're back."
Very powerful. Yeah. So fun.
Well, think if you have any final questions before we go into Act 3 for Truth or Dare. I have one more that I wanted to ask, which is outside of Cynthia and I talked about practical magic on our most recent episode. We're talking about Hocus Pocus right now. Were there any other movies that contained witches or magic that are one of your favorites?
The Craft.
Oh yeah.
Another movie I shouldn't have been allowed to watch as a kid.
There are a
Craft.
lot of movies we should not have been allowed to watch as kids. Oh my
The
god.
90s were just different though.
Yeah.
The Craft was scary.
It's so good though.
But
Very good.
every sleepover, you split two fingers up your
Yeah.
lights the feather.
It's like the highlight of my childhood. Actually, we went to Girl Scout camp, and when we were in 4th grade, we got we brought salt, and we did our cabins with salt. So it's like, all these things and also it's empowering for girls too, right? It's like one of the most empowering things, which is.
Yeah.
Agreed.
The symbolism behind being a witch is, it should be the symbol for the feminist movement. It really should be.
Don't you think it is with Wicked? Like we have an episode coming out in a couple weeks talking about Wicked and how like these whole villain becoming the protagonist. Like that's one of my favorite redos, like with Maleficent and Wicked. And you're seeing more and more of the other side of the story, which we talked about the fine line between the hero and the villain in our Joker episode. But seeing that Elphaba just wanted to protect the animals, to not have their voice taken from them. It was actually a story about sisterhood. And because I would say my first experience ever seeing a witch was the Wicked Witch of the West in oh my gosh, The Wizard of Oz. And I was frightened of her and that laugh that she did. And now we're seeing this alchemization, for lack of better phrasing, this transcendence to seeing witches are just women being limited in their power and the symbol for that. And I won't get into the upcoming election and things like that, but just more and more women like being like standing in their power. And what we saw as kids of them always being cast as the villain or ugly or with a wart, and in actuality they're really beautiful. Have y'all seen Agatha All Along?
Gorgeous.
I haven't
Obsessed.
seen it yet.
Oh my god, like I don't know what plans y'all have today. I might rewatch it before the next episode. Kenyatta, without
They're only 30-minute episodes, but they are amazing.
It's pretty perfect television. It's so good.
I wasn't even expecting the series to go that way because I watched WandaVision.
Same.
And I didn't really think much of Agatha. I remember her from the comics. I'm a big Marvel fan, by the way. But to take her storyline and make it that modern, that personable, just
I think you're all gonna like it because of the conversation we've had so far, because it does show the modernization of witches, like there being a green witch or a psychic witch, and they're all practicing in some way that is relevant to our exact time. And all of the women are ages from what 20s all the way up to what is the Broadway actress who's one of the witches, Kenyatta? It's going to drive me nuts that I can't come to it immediately. It's so good. And it's also the actress Aubrey Plaza, and she's perfectly cast.
So good. She's so good.
Patsy LuPone plays like one of the psychic witches. It's a great story, and
it's a great show.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I will be surprised if it doesn't get another season, but it's you're only 6 episodes in. They're 25-30 minutes, and it's
on Disney, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it is.
You know who else did, which is really good? Ryan Murphy, when he did American Horror Story Coven.
Oh, that one is so good.
Coven
is it scary?
Amazing.
Yes.
Yes, but you want to be scared. You want to watch it, and it's based in New Orleans.
So good.
It is really good. Really, really good. Jessica Lange, Angela Bassett, just really
I might have to give that a try.
It's
What's
so
her
good.
name? Sandra Poland? What's it? Sarah Poland.
Yeah, Sarah. Yeah.
It's really
Also,
good.
Emma Roberts, I think, is in that one.
You know what? That's my favorite Emma Roberts moment when she did Coven, because I don't want to do that. I like it. I liked her in Coven.
Coven is really good.
Any
Also,
final
this is kind of,
questions?
well, I
Oh,
was
go
going to
ahead.
say, did you guys ever watch this show as a kid? It's a really, really old one. It's called The Worst Witch. And then they actually made a new one of it. Oh, okay. But it's like, I think I was around her age when I watched it. It was like, she's like 9. And it's sort of like a Harry Potter where she like has these skills, but she doesn't know she has the skills. But anyways, there's a new one on Netflix too. But that show is really good for, I would say, for girls, like to empower, because she was the worst one, but she became better.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts or any final questions? I have one final one, but it's going to take us into Truth or Dare, which is, what do you think is the biggest life lesson from Hocus Pocus?
Mm.
I would say I think that there are two. I think like the Thackeray Binks, how they made him stay immortal so that he could feel the guilt, you know. I think that's one. And then I also think just believing in something in general, right? Like if you're so powerful, your brain is so powerful, and believing in something can make it happen.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, I think it for me it was tap into your power, because Max didn't have any powers, any supernatural. However, but he was powerful against 3 powerful witches. Like it's the witches were tapping into their supernatural powers. Even Danny tapped into her power as a little girl. And we didn't mention, what was the Allison?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Allison, the
yeah.
little white witch. Allison was a powerful figure in this movie. So for me, it was tap into your power.
Mm-hmm. Because she knew all along.
Yeah, she always believed.
Yeah, and
She did
imagine if she
believe.
hadn't been there as a resource.
Right.
Raquel?
Say just believe in magic. I really like that tap into your power also. That's incredible. But I would just say believe in magic, just the magical elements of the film, of the season, that we all possess magic and we can create magical moments, and better yet with the ones we love also, because the Three Sisters, it had a theme around family, friendship. So that's what I would take away from the film.
Got two. One is the impact of your consequences. Like they wouldn't have been in that place had Max not lit the black flame candle. So, and I think also Cynthia and I talked a couple months ago about Tell Me Lies, and that show is really about, you don't realize that some of these small choices that you make, that it has a ripple effect to other people. And so that's something I've been giving some thought to since we talked about that. And then, that's in the opening 10, 15 minutes of the movie, is Max making that choice changes everything for everybody. And then the second is, like, my favorite dynamic in the movie is the brother sister connection. Because to your point, Kenyatta, why did Max step into his power? Like in the beginning, the bullies stole his shoes from him or calling him Hollywood. And then by the end, he was overpowering some of the most powerful witches. And he was doing that to protect his sister, the same way that Thackeray Binks wanted to protect Emily. And so it's just a beautiful full circle moment about, yeah, sibling bond. And I think it's beautiful. Shall we go into Truth or Dare and close out?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Who wants to choose Truth or Dare?
I'll go. I want to choose Dare. And Kamala Harris said something recently that just, she said, some women are not aspiring to be humble. And I had to say to myself, why the hell am I being humble? I am getting older. I am not trying to please anyone. I'm not trying to make anyone like me. Why am I being so humble about the things that I do, about how quote unquote powerful I am? I should be thriving. I should be thriving in that right now. And like my girl Winnie here, I'm gonna dare myself to be Winifred. Who cares if anybody don't like me? I want to be a Winifred. I want to make my ex-boyfriends immortal, so they got to get risen from the dead every time I come back. Because you're gonna see me winning. Like I want to do that. So that's my dare.
I love that. That's so great.
Cynthia, why don't you go? Truth or dare?
I guess dare a little bit, I guess, or a prayer, if you will. I really like the idea of like believing in something and then I'm able to manifest that or make that happen. And I think sometimes I don't do it enough. So I want to dare myself to really believe in it and do it. So that's my prayer or dare.
Raquel, truth or dare?
I would say dare, I just like the lighthearted nature of the film, of just keeping that inner child alive, the magic, the belief, the power, all the things we talked about. So I'm just going to dare myself to stay in that inner child sense of being, and magic is real, and just embracing that.
Love that. I think I'm also going to choose dare and come back to what we talked about at the top, which is what you started the conversation around. Actually, Michelle started the conversation around rituals. So, because it really had me thinking, like, what am I doing intentionally? Whether it's what you said, Raquel, earlier about new moon, full moon, reminders of self-care. And because I know exactly what I want, and I want to make sure that my habits and my rituals are in perfect alignment with what I want to get out of life. And so I want to do, I don't want to say an audit because that makes it sound clinical or professional, but I want to be really conscious of the choices that I'm making and make sure that it's in alignment with that. Cool. Any final thoughts related to reminders of magic, not being afraid to be Winifred, really believing what you want, or what rituals you want to do in your day-to-day? Any final thoughts from any of you?
I guess I just go back to practical magic, that there's a little bit of witch in all of us.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Like, follow, share, all of the above, and we will see you next time. Bye.
You're listening to Truth or Dare to Share by Ambitiously Intuitive.